This conference will now be recorded.
All right. And as I mentioned before, we're in a test area of our portal, so it looks a little different than what you will see. And also this incorporates changes of what the portal will look like as of tomorrow when the changes take effect. You'll see our frequently used case forms will look a little bit different here. And to start off with filing advanced submissions for the systems that qualify to have to file an advance submission before they can file their case with us. There's a little bit of change to that, where once you pick an advance submission, you're actually going to add regional planning commissions now to this. And our system will actually serve the advance submission on all state agencies, the electric company, and the regional planning commission through our system. So it's pretty much as it always has been. You'll answer anything that has a red asterisk. You will make sure that you have an answer in there. And as always, remember to, if you add someone, when you do this, it will pull you into a new internet tab. Once you've added the organization, person, or whatever, make sure you go back into your original tab so you can continue with your filing, because adding the person does not enter your filing. To do this, I'll just use some generic things here. You will see. And again, if you have more than one thing, always click the new blue and you'll get a new tab, a new panel. You can enter extra information in extra panels by clicking the blue. Your project type here, for any time you're doing anything that has to do with net metering, be sure to pick the correct one, which would be 8010 net metering. Important to put the interconnecting utility here, because that way they will get the automatic notification from ePUC. And this is the new panel that you'll see, Regional Planning Commissions. If you click this magnifying glass, it will give you a list of the regional commissions. So you don't have to enter anything new. You can just choose the correct one for your project. You can enter your city, and if it's something that happens to have more than one, you can always, again, click the blue and make more. And this is a little bit different here. We have new documents that need to be added instead of just your advanced submission documents. We now have a certification redevelopment, the list of adjoining landowners, and you would upload it here with your browse button. You can give it a title, whatever you'd like to call it. And a certificate of service is now also a required document when you file your advance notice. And again, you can just give it a title as well. Oops. And then here's where you would enter your, what you've always traditionally entered for advanced submission documents. And you would enter them here, and you can give it a title. And then once you've entered this, if you have more second set or different documents, you can click here again. and just keep uploading as you go. And once you're done, your math question, and click proceed. Whoops, there is one question. See, this is what happens. It's good to show it. Good thing I made a mistake. I did miss a question. Is the proposed net metering system located on a resource extraction site? I did miss that right here underneath our project type. And so anytime you do make a mistake, that will help you to see what you have missed. And then you can answer it appropriately, yes or no. And then you can go back and try again. And to show you what, once you have filed, you can, I wanted to show you that where you can see who gets sent. I just wanted to use an example case so you can see what, where it will show you who got sent it by the system. Always good to go back in after you filed too and make sure that anything that you had filed made it in there, or you just want to look at your documents in your case. The case log here will show you everyone that was emailed, and also on your people tab, it will show you information. Your entities who received notice through the system will all be listed here as well. So just, it's always nice to, good to go in and see what your case information shows. So that is advanced notices. And now there's been some changes with the filing of net metering registrations. And actually which case forms you use for filing in general. Now our registration has been brought out, and it is its own choice under the frequently used case forms, separate from the application. So you will see there's a different choice you'll choose now. So you'll choose just net metering registration. And you'll see that there, from the rule, there are some significant changes to this process. There are no more objections or responses to objections will be filed in NMR cases. NMR CPGs are automatically deemed issued after 15 calendar days. And with the no responses to objections, there'll be no more memos asking people to respond to the objections either on interconnection issues. For 15 kilowatts or less, there will be substantially the same information asked in this registration form. When you get into the NMR form, it's really important that you read any of these form instructions that are here, because it will help you remember to make sure you have all the information and anything that you may need to file with this form. I'm going to go through and we'll enter the information so you can see all the steps involved in filing one that is we're going to do one first that is less than 15 kilowatts. Again, it's important, anything with the red dots, you have to make sure you include. And are you gonna, if there's any questions, you can interrupt if it's pertinent while we're doing it.
Hi, Holly. This is Carly. from Green Mountain Power.
Yes.
You had said you were going to do less than,
Did I click the wrong
but
one
you
as a
graded.
Oh, you're correct. Thank you, Carly. So yes,
Thank
this
you.
one is less than. So that was my example, and I did not click the right button. Some of the information when you see me, don't pay attention if it's not making sense, because I'm just trying to enter something for our test examples so you can have an idea of how it looks. So I do apologize if something looks silly. And again, note here that if it's group net metering, make sure you provide that to your utility, not in an application to us for registration. And again, always pay attention to the environmental attribute election. Read all instructions here and make sure that that is correct when you file your registration, because it is irrevocable after this CPG is issued or deemed. Just want to make sure I'm following my own notes so I don't make any more errors. And this panel here, I'm not going to enter information in this one now, but again, if it is amending something that was previously issued with CPG, oh, what's going on there? All right, I can't.
Can everyone put themselves on mute, please? I think we're getting some feedback.
Yeah, somebody said I can't see all the active cameras, so I don't know.
Can everyone who's on the phone please put yourself on mute?
It's caller 9.
Snip, I could see you're not on mute.
There we go. All right. As I was saying, I'm not going to enter any amendment information in the example that we're doing, but it's important that you read all of this, and if it is an amendment to an existing CPG, that this information is entered here. And also this one here, if there's more than one existing, approved, or other proposed facility at the service address or on the same or adjacent parcel, you answer this one with the appropriate response as well. And that is a required question. And when you click generation type, this is where, as you can see, new things will pop down. So depending on what you pick, there'll be different questions. So we're going to do a solar example here. I'm just putting in random information there to get things to enter. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but we're doing it. And now you'll see right here, we have a few new questions that look different and includes a little bit of new information here from, is the inverter UL 1741, all of this compliant? Is it certified? And is it certified per this other? So these are also required new questions here when you file. So you need to make sure. Oh.
Holly, we have a question about total capacity existing and proposed as it relates to amended systems. Would you like to go ahead and ask say what your question is, Tina?
Yeah, yes, please. Thank you very much, Anne and Holly. The question that I have is, and it's actually more of a clarification. I didn't realize this before, but when filing an amended registration, where it talks about, if you could just scroll up to where it says that you need to include both the existing, where is it?
And proposed components.
And proposed. So apparently what I didn't realize is that the person entering the information has to list those as two separate. In other words, filling out, there's a generation type 1, and then you have to click a plus and do a generation type 2 so that you do the existing as it stands, and then what the additional was going to be, what the change is going to be. And I didn't know if there was a way, at least I wonder if it might be helpful to include the language where it says total capacity of the net metering system, including the existing. Oops, where were we?
Right here.
Yes, if you could just say as two separate, or separately, or click the plus or something like that, so the person entering the information knows that they need to do that as two separate pieces of information, not because what we had done, or what I had done, was listed the total capacity, including the existing, but all in one, all as one capacity. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm making sense, but.
No, I think I understand what you're saying and that's a good thing, because we've had to answer that question with people who just call in or email. And that's a good thing. And it would be, I hadn't thought of that, showing it as an example. But yes, when it's in an amendment, there'd be information you'd answer here, and then down below, there's a new select generation type, and that will give you a new panel, and that would be where you could do the information again for whatever the original system or what you're adding to, either way, do which one first. But you are correct. That's an excellent suggestion, Tina.
Thank you, Holly. I appreciate that. We don't do these a whole lot, so when we do, I just want to make sure I remember the next time. Hopefully I will. But I think it definitely would be helpful to just, even if it says click plus for, adding the proposed components.
And I think we could add some verbiage up here. Would you?
Yes, we will change some of the instructions there to make this point clear. Thank you for the suggestion.
Oh, thank you very much.
See, that's why these are good. We get good, helpful feedback. The next question here is another new addition of just a question that's asked in a different way. There is this question here about binding contracts. Does the installer have a binding contract signed by the applicant authorizing the installer to submit this form on their behalf? So this is an important question to answer. The fee form, as it's always been, you would add a fee form to your filing. This is the only real document that you will attach when it is 15 kW and below for a registration. Certification information, again, always really important to read. what everything's here, what you're certifying to by filing it. And we'll click proceed and see if I missed any information. And we did it. And so you can see the new case. Where? Oh, I did them all on the 29th. All right. So that was a 15 and under. So again, if you do a net metering registration that is, you'll get the same form here, but this time I will click that I want it to be greater than 15 kW. I'm not going to go through all of putting in all the information. The differences will show, it will have all the same applicant, utility, information, all down the same if it's an amendment. Where the differences will come out will be at generation type. Here, you'll see that you will not be asked all of the interconnection information. Because now, once you enter these other questions, you fill in this box, and then there's a question here now for interconnection approval from the utility. So that is where you will upload a document that reflects the interconnection approval, which will be done before you file for your NMR that is over 15 kilowatts. And then fee form, and you'll file. And I think I just saw something pop up. Was there something that will be addressed? A question, Jake?
Yes, hi, this is Jake Marin from the commission staff. I just wanted to respond to Carly's question of clarifying that systems 15 kilowatts and less do not require approval from the utility first. I think what Carly is referring to is that now for all registration or for registrations for systems 15 kilowatts and less, we aren't going to be having this process where the utility files an objection in ePUC and then the registrant is required to respond and agree to whatever conditions that the utility might need. That interconnection process can happen outside of ePUC. So a CPG will be deemed issued on the 15th day after filing, but I would stress that applicants should consult with the utility before installing that system and making sure that the utility has completed its interconnection review and has communicated all requirements to them before the registrant begins construction. So to answer Carly's question, you're correct. The utility does not need to chime in or give its approval or send its comments into this ePUC case. It should communicate those directly to the registrant. Yes, correct, Sunshine. The utility will send the notice of any issues directly and should say if everything is ready to go, they should say that before the installation.
But they don't have to file anything into the actual
But
case.
they will not be filing anything in ePUC. You should be, I again strongly stress that the installers should be in close communication with their utility and should confirm that everything is set before they do their install. Does each Sunshine, does each utility have its own application and approval process? No. The review process for interconnection is set out in Rule 5.500. There is their own time frame for the utilities. I believe it's 30 days. And so, or 15 days, excuse me, for the smallest systems, 30 days for the larger systems. So the utility does not have its own process. They should all be the same. Is there a form? So for the systems 15 kW and less, this, what you're submitting for 15 kW and less is the form. They're looking at it. They just won't be filing their interconnection issues in ePUC anymore. They'll be communicating them directly to you. Yes. Power Guru has asked, how do we get an approval for a larger system? There is a separate application form for interconnection that is on the utility's website. You will go to the utility and fill out that form and submit it directly to the utility. It will not go in ePUC.
So that goes along with the example I just had up, right, Jake? This one here where you just put in the basic system information and the interconnection.
Yes, and then somewhere in here, I don't remember how we formatted it, whether it was a certification or whether they upload a document reflecting the interconnection approval.
Right here, the interconnection
Right
approval from the utility. It's just a
yes,
place for a
upload. So,
document.
so the utility, will provide a written interconnection approval for a larger system, and you will upload that document here to show that you have gone through that process.
All right. Any other questions about NMRs? Because our next we will go on to, which is some changes here in that we had an application before, which used to be found here with the registration. Oh, did you want to?
Yeah, Holly. Yeah, sorry. I'll just go back to
No, I just noticed it popping in.
So if it's greater than 15 kW, again, you will go directly to the utility. They have an application form. You will fill that form out and you will submit it to the utility. You'll get that approval, and then you would come and file this registration with the commission. So you will have that approval to upload at that time.
We have a question about amendments as well. We will be talking about amendments later in this training, so if you could just hold your question for now.
All right.
And and just to answer Sunshine's last question, yes, you contact your utility to get their form.
All right. Oops. Is there something that just popped
That's
up?
correct. For the advance notice, the system only asks for the regional commission, not the town planning commission or any organizations on the town level. The applicants are responsible for providing notice to the town level recipients outside of ePUC.
Was there a follow-up on that on the chat, Anne? I just saw something else.
No, I think we're good to go, Holly.
Okay. All right. So here, yeah, traditionally it would have been net metering registration and application together, but now you will see we have a net metering application and small renewables. We no longer have a choice for what we traditionally called an NMP, which would have been found under the petition filing. Now, all these projects, which would have been traditionally an NMP or an NM, are now going to be filed under here, net metering application. They'll all be called an NM case. So to show how that works, so anyone who had traditionally been filing NM application cases, there'll be a little bit different parts of the process for that. And for NMPs, it will be different in that there will be more of a formulaic filing, but you'll still do the documents, all the required documents that you would need. And now the NM filings, old traditional NM filings, will also do a second step filing and have to have witnesses for all the documents that will be uploaded in a second step filing. So That means in all your second step filings will be sponsored by your witness. I'm going to go over an example of this so you will see how the questions work and what the forms look like. So it starts off, so it's the application. Again, you'll use this for anything that traditionally qualified as an NMP or an NM now. And again, this is going to change with the questions that I ask. Is there a project whose capacity is greater than 50? And my first example will be under 50. So I'm going to make sure I click the right choice this time. So we're going to say no because it's going to be under 50. And again, really important, read all of the things that you see on here. It can help answer a lot of questions that we actually do get calls or emails about, which are answered right here on the form. And it's always good to look at this before you even begin to file. You can look at it, make sure you have all your information, and then go back, collect it, and then file your case. So again, anything with red needs to be answered. There it goes. It just was a little slow. I was waiting for it to self-populate. A lot of when you put in the zip codes, it should self-populate there. And again, official representatives or anything, if you need to add, make sure you, as it says here, return to this browser tab after you add that person. Because that's where a lot of people think they filed a case, but they have not.
The Vermont Business Registration Number only appears if this is an organization. If you were to say that this was a person who is applying for this, that field would not appear on the form.
And again, because I said that the host landowner is different than the filer, it's going to ask all of this information here. Is there another question while I'm doing the boring stuff of entering, or was everything good?
Jake, would you like to answer this question?
Sure. So for the CPG process, roof-mounted systems all have a 15-day period, whether it is 15 kilowatts or 500 kilowatts. But again, the systems larger than 15 kilowatts will have already gone through the interconnection process before even filing their registration. So that's why there is a shorter period now for the CPG.
And again here, regional planning commissions will be chosen as well. Oops, if I could spell, that would help us pick the right one. You can either start typing and things pop up, or you can use the search bar, the search magnifier. So there's two different ways to get that. And you required is a advanced submission reference number to tie back to your advance submission made for the case. So you can either have it on hand or you can start typing in and find your number as well. Just picking one in our choices here. And again, your environmental attribute, again, very important. Pay attention to what you choose. And again, amendment information, if it's amending an old or pre-existing CPG, I should say, that would be important to put in here and answer this question as well. And here, all right, and this one we will doing under, so we'll and then these are these. This is kind of for Ann and Jake. Were these already always on the NM, or is this part of new questions?
So the significant forest clearing field is new with the new rule. That's a new definition under the new rule, and that field is new for net metering applications. The preferred site and the environmental information fields below, those are the same as have been, those fields have been there before. The choices may be worded slightly different now, but the fields were there before.
Oh, right. And this is where I wanted to, this resources here. When it says you can check all that apply, I just want to make sure everyone knows, and same for preferred site. Anytime you see the blue lines with an arrow, if you click that, you can now click more than one thing. Because if you just use here, you just can pick one thing. But if you have more than one choice that you would like to enter, use the blue lines, because then that lets you put and click done, and that puts more than one answer in the panel for you. And again, with these setback information, make sure you read everything, because we put a lot of helpful information in here to help people know what your, again, the information you're going to see me put in here probably is not going to be comparable to what you would probably put in, but I just was trying to make sure we have information just to fill in our holes. And then here, screening requirements and things. I believe in the past you would have had to put documents in this step. Any documents now will be in your, what we're going to call your second step filing, which I will show you in a bit. But still just answer all the questions properly. And then here's where you will put in documents. These are the documents that you are required for your first step filing. Your completed checklist for ground-mounted applications. You put in your document. A list of persons whom you'll send this application to within 2 days of receiving notice that you are complete, because they will be completeness reviews as we have been doing. Your fee form.
Holly, I'd just like to mention that we will be putting the checklists on the Commission's website, and we will put links in the ePUC form to those checklists. And there will be 2 different versions of the checklist depending on the size of your project.
Thank you for mentioning that, Anne. That's good. And then this is where people who have been filing NMs in the past will be different, but it goes with NMPs. People have had to do this. This is where you will add witnesses who will be sponsoring all of your exhibits and testimony that you will file in your second step. So it's important you put them, any and all witnesses you have, you add them to this first filing because they need to be in so that you can, excuse me, choose the correct witness to sponsor what information you file in your second step. So again, sometimes people exist in the system or you will add them. If you add them, again, same thing I've mentioned in the past, add the person, finish that, come back to this current tab so you can complete your filing. And then, oops, I should have been a person, but that's all right. If you have more than one witness, you use your blue button to get yet another panel and add your next one. And you can do that as many times as you need for all your witnesses. Again, read your certification here before you go. And for those who have filed NMPs in the past, you're not going to be asked a question here about have all your documents been uploaded, because you must file a second step. So we don't ask that question here now. So we'll hit proceed and see if I missed any information again. And I didn't. This is where you would go back in to the case that you just filed and you would do your second step. But I'm going to just show you an example of a greater than 50 kilowatt filing. So you can see that, excuse me, the questions asked in that first step filing, and then I will show you a second step filing because you'll do the same procedure whether it is under 50 or over for the application process. So again, we would choose that, and then we'll say for this one we'll be over 50. So you will see that there will be some more information needs to be provided when it is 50 kilowatts or over 50 kilowatts, I should say, greater than. There'll be some other questions in here. I'll just go down and just show you these things as we go. I'm not going to fill out every single thing this time just for make things a little bit faster. But again, you have a regional planning commission, utilities. If there is an amendment, same thing. And when you get down to generation type, has the same questions here. I'm just going to say 0 for ease or whatever. Again, if it's over, there is a preferred site because it's greater than 150 kilowatts. I'll just pick one. And again, municipal screening requirements, if there anything you need to file regarding this, you would file in your second step. Oops, we're going to just do yes, get rid of that question for now. This is where you will upload anything that's required in your first step. So it's a proposed findings of fact, your proposed CPG, the checklist, your list of persons whom this will be sent within two business days of receiving your complete memorandum, your fee form for the department commission fee, the A&R fee. Those are your documents you'll file in this first step. And again, you'll have to add any and all witnesses and then your certification. So it's just a few different questions that you'll be asked for the larger systems. So once you have filed that is when you will then go now. And again, it won't ask you the question as NMPs had in the past at the bottom where have you, yes or no, will you be doing a second step? You must do a second step. So when you do second step filing, was there a question while I'm getting to my next thing?
So we have another question about amendments, and let's just hold off on the amendment questions. We're going to be talking specifically about amendments in a little bit.
Okay. All right. Actually, I'm going to go right here to my. There we go. I'm going to go into this case here because when you do a second step, you have to go back into the case itself in the system. And that's where you will do your second steps. Under your select, actually, it's always good. Again, this is where all your information that you just filed will be found under all your grade tabs. In the select action bar, you will see now, for anyone who's done second step filings in the past, our second step choice is now called add second step. This is the one you'll use for any types of filing that have a second step. In the past, it said add second step petition or add second step tariff. It is now all add second step. So that would be the choice you would use. And then when you get into
Holly,
there,
while you're doing that, let me just.
Sure.
Can I answer a couple of questions that people have asked? First, about the tree clearing field. You will always fill that out, even if it's below the threshold. And as for what a resource extraction site is, yes, look in the new rule 5.100 under the definition of preferred sites, and you'll see a discussion about what is necessary for a resource extraction site. Back to you, Holly.
Okay. I just want to make sure I can't always see all the things that have come in. What you'll see when you hit second step from the case that you had filed your first step in, when you get into the second step, it will show case attachment information that's relevant to the type of filing that you have made. So again, really important to read what we have here for case attachment information. Depending on the size of your project, you will get some information here, which will reflect the type of filing that you have made. This one I picked the under 50 kilowatts, so this will be information here. And so this will just tell you all the things that you will need to be, to complete your application. And for people who have not had to do a second step before with the information, this is where you'll see the sponsoring the following witnesses. If you have more than one witness, it's really important to do this step for one of your witnesses at a time and upload it, and then go back and do the next one. But this is where you would put in all your information. And then once you, like, here's the pre-filed testimony, click this blue to get another panel. And then you can do your next, say we had an exhibit for this one. And exhibit type here is where you will pick what it is that corresponds with the information that you need to file that was all listed up above. So we've tried to have, I think pretty much all of them, Anne, have a actual time name now that correspond. Is that correct, Anne?
There still is an other choice if you, but there are new exhibit types just to try and help make it easier to find what exhibit you're looking for once it's been filed in the case and you're looking at a list of exhibits.
Right. And then you give it a proper exhibit number. I'm just putting something in the hole for now, and a title. Again, we can call it whatever it is. But so that way you'll see if you do everything for your one witness first, and then here's the question where this is where this question comes into play, where it's important. If you just have one witness and you've entered all of their exhibits and testimony, etc., you would say, yes, you're done. So that will complete your second step filing and show in our system that this case has been filed and ready for review. But if you have more than one witness, it's important to then say here, say no, file this, and then you'll go back and choose second step again and do the exact same for your second witness. And when you're done with the second witness or third or how many you have, that's when you would say, yes, I'm done. And then so that's an important step for any second step filing. So I think that concluded getting both a registration or a net metering type in. Were there questions about these processes?
So the exhibit types required in the second step, the list is not on the first step screen because the system doesn't know yet what choices you've made. This is getting into kind of a technical, the way ePUC works. You've made various selections in certain fields in the first step. For example, you've said whether it's on a preferred site or not. The system will know then when you get to the second step, if you said it's on a preferred site, you'll see the information about preferred sites as something that's required. If you said it is not on a preferred site, that information won't appear. So it's the information that's required. I mean, you can look in the rule and see what's required. You can look at the checklist that will be on our website to see what's required. But if you want to use ePUC, you need to actually go into your second step to see the list. And there's another question again about what is the length of time for before a net metering registration is deemed issued. And I believe that Mr. Marin answered that earlier, that it is for all of the registration forms regardless of the size, it's 15 calendar days to a CPG being deemed issued. And the reason for that is because the larger systems will have already obtained approval, interconnection approval from their electric utility before they file in ePUC. And that's why it's 15 days from the time you file an ePUC. All registration forms, no matter their size, will be a CPG would be deemed issued unless the commission determines otherwise. I'm not sure I understand. There's a question about concurrent with ePUC or consecutive. The utility, if for a larger system, the utility is going to file, For a larger system, you are going to file with your utility first, the interconnection application. After you get the interconnection approval from the utility, then you're filing an ePUC. For the smaller systems, the registration form that you are filing in ePUC is the interconnection application. So the utility is doing its review during the time period, during the 15 days that it's in ePUC. Jake, did you want to add anything to that?
No, I think you summarized it correctly.
Excuse me. All right. So that's the actual filing component to the changes. There has been some changes to request to extend a net metering project CPG for commissioning. There is now a notice, you can do a notice of an automatic 1-year extension for a CPG for any size. And to do that automatic extension, you would, we're going to now allow you to file those into a closed case. But what you would need to do if your case has been closed, you would contact the clerk of the commission, an email or would be probably best. You would contact me and then we will reopen the case so you can file this extension into there. But if it had, what you would do, I'm going to pick a case even right here and show you how to do that. What you will add is from the select action bar, it's just an all other document. And the document type that we request that you use to file these 1-year extensions would be an other document filed with the commission. It's not a specific type for that, so it would just be an other document. And this is where it's important in your title is what you would want to call it is a notice of extension of CPG. And then that document would be filed here in your, it just needs to be a document that has that extension request, and you would file it into the case. And you should read the Commission Rule 5.110C. They need to be filed before the 1-year anniversary of the issuance of the CPG. And after, if you would want to make a request for an extension after that 1 year, if you have a subsequent extension request, that would not be filed into the original CPG case. Those would be filed as a petition case. And that's where you would choose that from the left navigation. And that would be a filing type of other. You'll see that here. And then you would further call it a subject matter of a request to extend your net metering. And it's important that you make these right choices so the filing comes in and is it's clearly delineating what you're requesting. So don't go other, just make it clear that that's your request to extend the net metering. And that request, what, it would be what the document is with your request on it. You're always going to call that a petition document type. And that's where you would upload whatever your written request for the extension is. And you would file that. So that would be its own new case number matter for that extension request. Are there any questions about extensions? Okay. Amendments. So this is where there's some things of note that when you're going to amend a pending registration case or application case. So that means that if it is not been given, issued, or deemed a CPG, if it is a pending NMR case, you can file an amended registration form into the registration case. And you would also upload your modification fee form after paying and pay the modification fee. It will trigger a new 14-day review period to extend what your original deeming date would have been. I'm going to try to go in and there are, Jake, you want to go over the minor major change?
Sure. So,
It said minor amendment, so I wanted to know, thought before I continue on with this, it might be better to clarify that.
yeah, well, there are, there are no longer going to be minor amendments anymore. The rule has dispensed with having this distinction. So the change or the test for whether or not you need to get approval before you change your project is called the substantial change test. A change is substantial if it has the potential for significant impact under the Section 248 criteria. Now, in the context of registrations, I would argue don't worry about that test. What I would say is just file you upload the letter or revised registration form into your registration case and let us know about the change. And it does push out the approval date, for another 15 days. And there is the modification fee that you have to pay when you do that. But I think it's a lot easier than trying to necessarily determine always whether your change is or is not significant. But rule of thumb, probably the old guidance we had about minor amendments and major amendments probably is somewhere pretty close to the mark about what is substantial and not substantial. Changes in your capacity of more than 5%, definitely a substantial change. A reduction in the capacity of your facility by more than 60%, definitely a substantial change. Changing the location of your project, changing the address, something like that, definitely a substantial change. But if you're just updating, equipment information or things like that, it may not be substantial. But if you want to give that information to the utility or get it into us, you can just upload the revision into ePUC by either filing a letter or just printing out your registration form and marking on it what you changed, which field are you editing, and uploading that document into the registration case. That's probably the most effective way to do that.
Oh, there was another follow-up, I think.
No, we won't be doing that decision, whether it's substantial or non-substantial. Just file the change is my advice. You can make that decision on your own if you want to make a change and not give notice to the commission. That's your decision. That's fine. And if it is non-substantial, it's not a problem. If you made a change and it turned out to be substantial and you didn't give us advance notice, that's where you could run into issues.
All right. So yeah, so you would go into the actual case because it's still pending, and that's where you would upload using the choices to upload. As Jake had mentioned, you can print out the registration form that is in the case here, or you can find it. Again, this is where all the information is, not just the emails that we send. There's this whole case information here that has all the documents, commissioned issue documents, the actual registration form that gets made after you have filed your case. So you can print out this form that gets produced and make your changes and upload that. So that's all of that. And if you're amending a net metering case that is not a registration, you would file a motion into your pending case and a fee form as well. Sorry, someone just tried to call me. I'm in a meeting. So that would be a motion filing, which I was not going to go into showing here. But if you have questions on how to file things, you can always contact our office as well. But that would be amendments to pending. So substantial changes to approved net metering systems and amendments of your CPGs. If you're amending a net metering system that meets the eligibility criteria to register under 5.105, which is the NMR, you would then just file a new net metering registration case following the process that I had just shown you. So that is for already approved system amendments. If the amended net metering system does not meet the eligibility criteria to register for a CPG under the NMR procedure, and your approved system has not yet been commissioned, you would go into the case where the CPG was issued. And again, if it's closed, you would contact the clerk before filing to get the case reopened. I'm going to go into a case now just so I can show you.
Holly, while you're doing that, we had a question. So no more PETs at all. So for a net metering registration, that's correct. If you are amending a net metering registration form, you will either be filing in the pending case or you will be filing a new net metering registration form. There are no more minor amendments. There are no more PET cases that you need to file if you're trying to file an amendment. We're trying to simplify the process for how amendments are done. So all you need to know if you're filing if this is about amending a registration is the CPG still pending? If so, file in the same case. If the CPG was already deemed issued, file a new net metering registration case.
Excuse me. So for the non net metering registration cases, as in this one, this is an NM matter. And as I said, if it was already marked closed, contact me and we'll reopen the matter for you so you can do this. What we now have is an amendment filing you can make from our select action bar. You'll find now added down here is an add amendment. So you will choose that. And there'll be just a couple of basic questions here where you will add what's called your petition, which is basically your request. Sorry, I could see the chat pop up. And is that a question that should be addressed before I continue, or is?
That's fine. Yes, if it is a closed case and has not yet been commissioned, definitely contact the clerk to reopen the case before you file this add amendment. So this add amendment, we're moving from net metering registrations to net metering applications. For registrations, you have just the two choices. Now we're in the world of net metering amendments, and if you have had a CPG issued, but it is not yet built, you're going to file this amendment in the existing case. And again, if it's closed when you go into the case, then please contact the clerk to reopen it and then file your amendment, as Holly will show you.
So this upload petition is your request for amendment, delineating how you are requesting to amend it. You will also have to file a certification, development of your list of adjoining landowners. So it's basically that you have, pursuant to the rule, checked again to make sure you have all the current landowners as of the moment you are looking to amend this. A certificate of service that shows that the proposed amendment has been served on the persons and entities that will not be provided notice by filing through our system. And your fee form. And here is if you have I'm just going to ask for clarification from Anne. This panel here, it's marked required, but is it?
It's not required. If you don't have a document that you need to put in there, you don't have to actually upload anything there.
All right, I just didn't want to scare people with the red asterisks here. But this is where you could put any other documents that you do have. Here, the cover letter, or any of things that you feel need to be uploaded in this first step of this. And then again, it's going to remind you you're going to be doing a second step filing because your proposed amendment will not be processed until you filed a second step form. And to do that, it's the same process as you would have done for your original second step. But here, when you're doing your second step, you'll see this no parent selected. Anytime you see that, that means there's more than one subcase for your matter. Because in this instance, we're not adding to the application, we're going to add to your amendment, which you had just uploaded. And there's more instructions, and this is where you would add all documents that go along with the amendment that you have just requested. So you would do it just as you would any other second step. Do all the information for your witness, and when you're done, if you have more than one witness, which I just realized I probably should have shown for those of you who don't know, if you have a witness that is like a new witness to your matter, I will show you right after this how to add that witness to the matter, so that way you will show the new witness as well. So again, you would upload any information for each witness in its own step, carefully selecting no if you need to go back and do another witness's testimony for this amendment. But once you are done, you would select yes. So that would tell the system that your amendment and all its information to go with that have been uploaded. But I will show you that step, that if you do, because it is possible you might have a new witness to add to your matter for your amendment. That is always an option here under your select action. You can add a witness to a case at any time. And you would just add your witness and then hit proceed. That would add it. So when you go into your second step, it will show the new witnesses.
The existing test case will still be available in ePUC. So if you want to try adding an amendment, for example, you can go into that test case for adding a new case. You can't add a new case into our production system, but you can use the test case to add different documents, etc.
Well, we're still, oh, do you want to answer that question, Anne? Do we want to, before I continue on with
Sure, we can circle back
next
to amendments. There's a question about amendments for registrations. Go ahead and ask your question, Doug.
Yeah, sorry to circle back. I just wanted some clarification on closed registrations and amending them. You said we need to file a brand new registration if there's an amendment, and is there guidance on if the amendment is significant enough to warrant filing a new registration, or like what scenarios would we have to file, and like if anything changes, would we be filing a new registration?
So what you need to do is look in the rule, and the rule talks about if there's a substantial change or an amendment to a net metering system, and you can look and that is, I think what Jake Marin was trying to describe earlier is this is up to you to determine whether you need to file something with us or not. There is not, the test is it a substantial change? And he tried to describe to you a couple of things where he said this probably clearly is, this might not be, but that's a legal question for you that we're not giving legal advice. So it's up to you to determine whether you need to file an amendment to your closed registration.
Okay. Thank you.
Was there more questions, Anne, or are we moving on?
No, I think go ahead.
Okay. And the last information about amendments is that if your net metering system is not an NMR, and the approved system has been commissioned, if it is a result of, as we were just talking about, non-substantial changes as described in 5.109B2, that would be a petition other filing. So that amendment we are doing, you would do a petition other. And that's a result of non-substantial changes. Otherwise, you would do the application here, and it would be filed in a new case after it has been commissioned. The request for amendment must be filed in a new matter. And is there anything to add on that? Make sure that I was clear. Kind of went along with the
I guess, Holly, I
non-substantial.
don't remember if you have mentioned the fact that there is a memo that will be issued
Right.
and posted on our website that has sort of step-by-step instructions on how to file, how to file requests in ePUC related to approved net metering systems. So this question of how do I file my amendment? There's specific bullets that's like, if your amendment is this, file it this way. If it's that way, file it this way. So hopefully that will help you as you're trying to decide how to file something. And again, it's different for registrations than it is for applications. So
Correct.
kind of the first decision point is, are you changing a registration or are you changing an application? And if it's a registration, then and it's already been issued, you are going to file a new registration case. If it's an application, that's when it starts to matter, was it already commissioned or not? And or is it a non-substantial change that you're filing? And so I would just encourage you to take a look at this memo and take a look at the rule in order to make the decision about how to file your case.
Right, because as it's been mentioned, I think by Jake and Ann, emailing commission staff or calling, we cannot tell you how that should happen. That is a legal decision that you would need to make for yourself. So the rule and this guidance document that will be issued will be good resources to go for to help you out with that. And I think that kind of concluded amendments. We just have one more thing I think that really has changed, which is the procedures for filing transfers of CPGs. If the transfer is part of the sale of the land, you will no longer file with the commission. Any information on that, we will no longer have net metering transfers for with land transfers. You do need to provide written notice to your utility on that. We do still have this transfer choice here, which is for transfers that are independent of the sale of the land. This is for systems of any size if the transfer is separate from a change in the ownership of the property hosting the system. So that is one change. You would choose the net metering transfer from our left, complete this form, and you do have to upload a certification signed by the current CPG holder. That is one step that must be filed with this non-land transfer. This form will be findable on our website, our traditional PUC website. So that can be filled out and signed in order to file this kind of a transfer. But I think, Anne, did I miss anything, do you think?
No, I think I'll mention one more thing, which is under the new rule, there is no longer a need to file with the commission requests to have more than one net metering system as part of a group. Those kinds of,
Yes.
if that's something that you want to do, you need to contact your electric utility about that. There's a question about what is the test case. So if you were to go into ePUC and if you're searching for a case number and you just type in the word test in that box, you will get to the test case.
And again,
that is just a random case. It's not a net metering specific case. It's just a random case that people can use to file things. We will send out the links to the amendment guidance document, and we'll email the document to the big list. It will be posted on our website. We have a lot of changes to make to ePUC and to our website tonight. So you will have access to all of this information starting tomorrow.
Yeah, right after this, I will be sending out, I had planned to send it out to the large email list for those of you who received things through that. This guidance document that we referred to about the net metering things, I will do it right after this meeting. I was still in prep mode before I.
And the guidance document, essentially, there is a guidance document that's on the commission website now. We will be taking that current guidance document down and replacing it with the new guidance document. So if you are looking for the link to that document, you could check that same link you would go to, you've historically gone to in the past, and be able to access that new information tomorrow. Yes, the new procedures are in place starting tomorrow. The new rule takes effect tomorrow. So all of these changes will happen tomorrow. If you go into ePUC today, everything is going to look exactly the same as it always has for the last, several years. Any other questions?
You're welcome. I hope it was helpful. Tried to cover as much as we could and any examples that we could, and some valuable feedback happened today too as well, so that's wonderful. All right. I think we will conclude for today. Thank you all.